What's up, Zach? Another video coming at you. This video is going to build on the last couple videos. So if you remember, we learned what money was. Money's energy, currency. And then we learned that we could either spend our money to give it out with no expectation of return, or we can invest our money and expect a greater return at a later date. And so today I'm going to teach you how to use money, what you can buy with it. Now, essentially, there's only two things you can ever buy with money, and they are an asset or a liability. That's the only thing you can spend money on. Now, you can buy a good like a game, or you can buy a service like somebody cutting your grass, things like that. But everything gets categorized into two categories: an asset or a liability. So what are the differences? Well, I always like to look at the definition. So what is an asset? The definition of an asset is a useful or valuable quality, person, or thing that has an advantage or a resource. So that could be money, or it can be a person, like you're a valuable person to me, to your family. A valuable thing would be your chessboard. That's a valuable thing to you. It's a tool that you learn with. And so that would be a resource. So let's move on to the next definitions. A valuable item that is owned, your chessboard. Or a spy working in his own country, controlled by the enemy. So that's a little off of what we're talking about today. We're just using this in terms of like money and whatnot, but an asset could be a spy. So what's the definition of a liability? So the liability is the state of being liable. It's an obligation or a responsibility or a debt. And the third definition is the financial obligations of a business empire. So basically this breaks down into two things. What is an asset? What is a liability when money is concerned? Now you can take these definitions as fact and they're all true, but the easiest way to break down asset versus liability is this. Imagine your wallet or your bank or your pocket. An asset is something that puts money into that pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of it. So what would be an asset? We use the example of maybe you cutting grass to gain $20 as a form of stored energy. So let's say that you did that a few different times and you had 200 bucks cash. So let's say you bought a lawnmower with that $200, and that lawnmower is now an asset because it's a thing that you own, a resource. It's an item owned by you. Now you can take that lawnmower and you can go out and cut other people's lawns, and let's say you make 20 bucks a lawn. You could cut 10 lawns and you'd make 200 bucks, and that would pay for that lawnmower. And then anything over that 200 is all profit. So you took your money, you bought a lawnmower, that was an asset because now you can use it to put money in your pocket. Now let's say a liability. Okay, let's say that a guy comes by your house and you're going to pay him to cut your grass. So you give him 20 bucks, he cuts the grass, the transition's over. All that happened was that guy came by, and for a service he took money out of your pocket. So paying the guy to cut your grass was really a liability. That's when what comes into play with businesses. So I run a business, so sometimes I have to pay people to do things for me, and those would be considered liabilities. But if I pay somebody to do a job that brings me money to my business, then that person or that service is an asset. So what I want you to learn today is the difference between asset and liability. Asset is going to be more of a positive thing. Liability is going to be a negative thing. Now both are essential in life, and especially if you're going to operate a business. But I just want to get you familiar with there's only two things that you can actually use your money for. You can purchase an asset, which will put money into your pocket, or you can use your money to purchase a liability, which will take money out of your pocket. So really successful people use their money and they buy assets, and then they've got all these little things putting money into their pocket. And then people that aren't so successful, they use their money and they buy all these things that take money out of their pocket. Like maybe a person buys a bunch of apps on their phone that are a monthly subscription, so that's money going out. And a person might buy movies a lot, or TV shows, buy subscriptions. That takes money out of your pocket. So you always want to buy an asset and not a liability. Now, some things are going to be liabilities that you want, like you bought Marvel action figures. Those were a liability. Those took money out of your pocket. But let's say you had the opportunity to buy some limited edition Marvel figures and you could get your hands on 10 of those, and you knew that a year from now those 10 Marvel figures would be worth more than what you paid for it, then those Marvel action figures would be an asset, because at a later date you'd sell them and they'd put money back in your pocket. So this is just a real quick explanation of the difference between an asset and liability. We'll go into a few more things tomorrow. I hope you find this message well, and I hope you learn it and know it and live it. Love you, buddy.